But yeah, it is certainly a difficult game, but fun. And also fun with a friend, because that's the second element, co-op. Now, I didn't get to do co-op very often because my family were only in there briefly and they didn't have much time. But I played it with my sister, who I used to play co-op with in the old days of Donkey Kong Country, and we played through a couple of levels. And basically, one player controls Donkey Kong, another controls Diddy, and the system actually works pretty well because Diddy kind of gets one or two extra abilities for players who aren't used to either DKC or just gaming. Like, he gets the jetpack, which means he can hover and extend his jump, and he also gets peanut pop-up guns, so he can blast enemies from a distance as well, which helps.
With a game that difficult, I can imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And it is also a lot of fun, because like Super Mario Bros., if one of you dies, all you have to do is just press a button to get back in, and comically, they come back in on a DK barrel attached to a balloon. So, you break that open and then you're back into the game, although it works a lot better than New Super Mario Bros. Co-op, because I'm just going to steal a quote from DK Vine's podcast, which actually best summarized it. Unlike New Super Mario Bros. Wii, it's less about competing with other players and actually cooperating with them. DK and Diddy just pass through each other, they don't bump into each other, and if the person controlling Diddy wants DK to handle the platforming sections, they can just jump on DK's back by pressing the Z button and just shoot to activate the jetpack from there.
That sounds like it works.
Yeah, the co-op actually works a lot better because you can decide whether you two want to go separately or ride on the back of another person. So it's more focused on co-op rather than actually just have four people who bounce into each other and get into each other's way and occasionally throw each other around.
I like that, because speaking as someone who plays Call of Duty a lot, I play multiplayer. And there are times whenever on voice chat I want to remind everyone, dude, there are teams. That's my biggest problem with multiplayer, and DKCR has apparently fixed it.
Yeah, definitely. Overall, I'd say the gameplay engine is really solid. It's platforming, and as I mentioned before, it's a challenge. Like Sonic 4 Episode 1, they introduced all like a great gameplay with new features that's very true to the classics, but they did something that Sonic 4 didn't. I'm trying to remember it now. What was it? Oh yeah, they did something new. The levels are not just rehashes of Donkey Kong Country. They do actually come up with new stuff. Like, there are some new concepts or levels I've never thought about before. There's like the sunset levels, which look awesome. There's levels where, admittedly, it's not very good if you're arachnophobic, because there's a level where you're running away from a wall of tiny baby spiders that want to eat you.
Oh lord.
Yeah.
And I hate spiders.
Yeah. Oh god, there were so many amazing level concepts I can talk about. There were so many great levels with so many different concepts, and what's interesting is that there's like so many secrets to uncover in it, because in each level you have to collect both con levels and puzzle pieces in order to unlock everything in the game, and it's pretty cool because they're hidden in different areas, and you have to use stuff like the hand slap to interact with the environment, or find secret areas, or just do like impossible jumps over the ledges and then get into a certain area. But yeah, overall the gameplay is a really solid engine, and it really works. If I had to come up with any negatives, I could only say about three things. First of all, since it's not really related to the gameplay, I'll just bring up music. It's okay. I can understand the people wanting to bring the Donkey Kong Country music in. It's a great score, I love it, but they remixed the entire Donkey Kong Country soundtrack, with the exception of Funky and Candy's themes for obvious reasons. To the point where, well, basically it's half the entire soundtrack.
Ouch.
Yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, yeah, they do more variations of the remixes, but it is half the entire track. Some people may really like it, but as someone who rather sadly spends a lot of his time listening to the Donkey Kong Country soundtracks, I was kind of expecting a few new themes. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are some new themes which are really fun to listen to, like Blazing Bop and Tidal Terror. That's another terrifying level concept, by the way. Try not to be knocked off the screen by giant waves, but
Just as a quick note, I still vote that gigantic human-eyed looking octopus is the most terrifying.
Oh yeah, he actually, believe it or not, that's one of the easier levels.
Oh lord.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, those tunes are good, but I really would like to have seen more original tunes, or at least some more memorable ones. Like, the Kiki theme is also pretty cool, but yeah, half the soundtrack stuff we've heard before, the other half, with a few exceptions, it's not really that memorable, so...
Basically, it's the soundtrack is your opinion of Sonic 4. A great, big, epic, meh.
Yeah, definitely. There are two small complaints I would have to say about the gameplay. The first small complaint is that, like I said, it's difficult, but there are times, maybe it's just because of me being jaded by the times when I died trying to figure out how to get through, because after 80 levels again it seemed to be much easier, but there are times when the deaths seem to be just a little too picky, like, oh, what was that? You wanted to reach that ledge you've managed to reach all the other times before? Well, I'm sorry, you are 2 millimeters behind the required line, so you're gonna hit the wall and fall into the lava. It just seems a little bit too harsh. It's just really nitpicky in some situations, which kind of leads into the third point, which is the one thing I honestly think could possibly be worked a bit better, because there are 3 types of level. The main one is like I've said, the platforming. The second type is the minecarts. There are a lot of minecart levels this time around, and there's also a new segment, which is brand new, called the rocket barrel segment. Basically, it's DK and Diddy hopping onto this rocket-shaped barrel thing, and that goes forward on its own, and you have to control the altitude. The unfortunate thing is, you control the altitude with the A button, but pressing the A button makes DK go up, and if you don't press anything at all, he plummets down. So, it doesn't necessarily break the game in any way, because it is manageable, but when you're mashing the A button just to stay in a straight line, you start to wonder, was this really the best idea they could come up with?
And it's really understandable why you would think that.
Yeah. It gets to certain points, especially in the harder worlds, where you have to try to navigate really narrow passages, and I honestly think the control system for those points could have been a lot better, maybe using the joystick or something like, I don't know, every other flying game. Actually, the funny thing is, when the rocket goes up instead of straight across for 2 levels, they actually do make the controls of the joystick, which I don't quite understand why, but it's not really breaking the game though, because after like 1 or 2 tries, I managed to get through past levels pretty easily, so it's one of the things I feel could have been improved upon, and I don't know why. Maybe it's me feeling resentful about mashing A to just move in a straight line, I don't know. It's a...
Well, it is a rather ridiculous concept.
Yeah. Overall, I'd still say it's a solid game. I would definitely rank it alongside the original Donkey Kong Country. Whether or not it beats 2 or 3 in my mind, I'd have to play again, but it definitely is a good solid game overall. If I was giving percentages or scores, which I don't often do, I'd definitely say it's 9 out of 10 at the very least. And also, it does have the single most awesome ending of any Donkey Kong game in history, but I won't give spoilers. Trust me, you have to see this.
And just to be cruel, I'm going to say this, viewers. Jonin told me.
Oh, yes.
And it is awesome. It happened, and it is epic. I will never forget that. Certainly better than the endings of some of the games I played. Call of Duty.
But overall, Donkey Kong Country Returns, great game. I would really like to see what Retro do this equal, and yeah, if you're a Donkey Kong fan, go buy it now. When you have money.
Yeah, go buy it now unless you're an old school retro fanboy. Then just pay attention to Cranky. He'll address all your concerns.
Yeah, pretty much. And with that, that's the gaming section done, so since again we haven't watched movies, or I really need to get back through the catalogue I've got for Christmas, we will now move on to the next section.
Manga!
Again, the subject is in the title. This is where me and Sven talk about manga, and usually we end up talking about the big two, Naruto and Bleach. So I'll give my summary on Naruto.
There's a war going on and dead people are fighting.
That's it, really.
Wow. That's, that was short.
Yeah, there are some vague plot details. Kamado explained his technique two people Madara absorbed died and Anko may be used as a sacrifice, but honestly, that's about it. It's mostly been fighting, and not very entertaining fighting at that.
You know, I just have to make a note of the plot detail you mentioned before the fighting. Anko being used as a sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
Kishimoto, can I ask you something? Are you trying to piss me off?
Yeah, I should probably explain to the viewers, Anko is one of Sven's favourite characters. At the moment she's being thrust up and Kabuto's trying to drain her blood to get Orochimaru's powers.
Yeah. So, Kishimoto, let me get this straight. First you commit the most atrocious instance of character derailment in history just before we went on to the time skip. Then you create a villain that completely derails your plot from there. Now you may or may not be killing off one of my two favorite characters. One moment, please.
Okay, are you alright now?
Yes, I think so. Except I cannot reiterate any more strongly. Screw this series. I swear, eventually I'm going to make an announcement in one of these where I officially announce I'm actually rewriting this series. Just a bit of backstory on this. Viewers, I made a cardinal mistake before I did this, because I'm an idiot. I reread all the chapters I missed.
You poor fool.
Yeah. That is a few days of my life I will never get back.
Now you know what I meant by spiral of convoluted crap, didn't you?
Yes, I found out the hard way, because again, I'm an idiot. But now, at least I've got a good list of what I can do whenever I eventually show Kishimoto that one of his former fans can actually write better than he can. And that is a sad point in an author's life whenever it may or may not come to his attention that his fan fiction writers are better than he is. It's something no author should aspire to, but Kishimoto just apparently does. He just won't stop.
Ugh.
Wow. I have to think this is the most ranty I've ever done about any manga.
No worries, I do it all the time.
Because it's Naruto, it practically calls for it. And this is the first time it actually fully hit me. Just how much of a better job I could do if I was writing this series. Just how much of a better job either of us could do if we were writing this series. Trust us, if we were writing this series, it wouldn't be a spiral of convoluted crap.
Definitely. Even if it wasn't us, even if it was anyone. I swear, the people who subscribe to us could do a better job, or even anyone on YouTube could do a better job at this point, I swear.
Hell, this is my suggestion. Go make a hat with names off of the first page of fanfiction.net. Pull the first name out, and I can probably bet you whoever that person is would be able to write a better plot than Masashi Kishimoto.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Which is why I've actually moved away from that, so like I said before, I'm starting a whole new manga search, but unfortunately I didn't know where to start with Manga Fox, so I turned back to one of my old series. Since over Christmas, I finally got the last 3 volumes I needed, which means, along with Buso Rinkin and Rurouni Kenshin, I now have all the volumes and a complete series of Black Cat.
Oh yeah, I know that one.